Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Liz. Welcome to a quick demonstration of the training that we're going to be doing online for a health and safety certification, which means that you can then apply for a PQP or an AQP white card. A couple of points I want to make up front are this is the first online course that the CSCS have authorised with self-invigilation. So self-invigilation means that we've basically worked with the CIC through to the CSCS to get them to trust you guys out there to run your own exams, which will provide you big savings in time and money moving forward. Also, the contents that we're about to go through very quickly has been put together by professionals within the construction and built environment, people like Liz Drummond, for example. So this course is brand new content, fit for purpose for 2022. And the great thing about this course moving forward also is the fact that it's software based. If there are any changes in the laws or changes in the way that the industry has to adopt certain things like asbestos, etc. moving forward, we can add that into this course really simply. It'll always be up to date, it'll always be relevant. If you're working from a printed document, obviously if anything changes, you've got to throw that away and print all the books. So that's the idea, that there is 6 hours of e-learning content. I'm not going to bore you with all 6 hours of that. We're going to go through a very dip in and dip out of the content, so you get an understanding of the scale of it. This is not any part of the exam. So the exam is a separate module, and I'll go through the process of that later. But what we're about to see now is the learning content with some mock exams that are built in micro modules within the main modules, and I'll take you through that. But basically it's a learning path all the way through of 6 hours of content within 6 modules of subjects that you can dip in and dip out at any time. So this is the email that a learner will get when they've been onboarded onto our platform. Just very quickly here, you'll see there's some URLs to take you to Apple or Google, so you can download the Talent LMS application onto your mobile phones. So basically this course is accessible from any internet connected device that you have. So this will be the welcome email. I'll click on here. Beyond this, there'll be, when you first click on, there'll be a page that basically says put in your username and choose your own email password that you put it on, and make a change that you then press confirm, and you get through to this page, which will be your own personal learning page. Obviously mine looks slightly different because I'm down as an instructor. You'll be down as a learner, and I've got 2 courses open in progress, and I've got 9 hours 12 minutes of training within this. But basically click on the health and safety course here, and there's a quick prelogue that I'll go through. This is basically the CIC health and safety certification training course. It's backed by the CIC, it's authorised by the CSCS, and it basically says that taking this training course demonstrates that your knowledge is current of today's health and safety standards. And once you've gone through this course and passed the exam, you can then apply for the relevant CSCS card. So the modules of the course are, as we see here, module 1 is legal requirements, module 2 is your health and welfare, module 3 safety on site, module 4 risk management, module 5 design risk management, module 6 protecting the environment. Once we go, the module 1 and module 5 are ticked because I've been in and had a look at things this morning, but we can go back into those and start from scratch really easily, and we'll take you through this course and show you how robust it is. The great thing about this is that people may think that they know more about modules 2 and 4, for example, and they may want to concentrate more on 5 and 6, which they can do. So it's a very robust piece of software. It's very difficult to break. You can go in and out as many times as you want, and all this content will always be there for your reference. When it comes to actually doing the exam, what we do is we obviously agree with you a process where you can set up a room that is designed to CSCS standards, which means that you appoint an invigilator. that basically has the ability to book the room on your premises and the authority to do that, to set the exam up to CSCS standards, which means each desks are 2 meters apart, no talking amongst delegates, it's not open to outside people walking in, no written notes, no mobile phones, etc., etc. When we agree that date and time, we will then remove all these modules from this page, so that when the learner then logs on, all he will be seeing is one module which says exam. And that's basically how they set the exam. The invigilator will then say, okay, start the exam now, and you have 60 minutes to answer 45 questions and get an 80% pass mark. That's basically what all this learning will lead to. We are not allowed to set exams up before a 30-day learning path has expired, and that's mandated by the CSCS. So once you buy the course and you're onboarded, you have to do 30 days of learning to do the course, to do the exam. Now that 30 days obviously gives you the ability to choose how much learning you go through, but this is the learning content that that is associated to the exam that you will take. So if we click on, for example, module 1, which is legal requirements on site, and again, this is exactly what you will see as a user taking this course. Launch the course by selecting this link, which we do, and then it comes on to legal requirements on site. Now, legal requirements on site module has been broken down into 4 sub-modules below: health and safety at work, working on construction sites, reporting duties, and understanding CDM regulations. Now, when you see the green bits here, each one of those is modules that I've been in and done and gone through, which is why it's showing green. Yours won't show green first time round. But even though I've been in and seen these, we can go back in at any time. And each sub-module then has a teach me and a test me element. The teach me element is 15 minutes worth of learning content that you can go through. You can access at any time. You can take more than 15 minutes if you wish. You can take less than 15 minutes. And then once you've gone through that content and think that you've understood it, you can then go on to the test me element of the module. And the test me element is a mock exam of a number of questions, which we believe should take 20 minutes based on the rules set for the exam, which means that you can actually test yourselves on every module that you go through. So once you've gone through the teach me module and the sub modules, you then go on to a little exam and you can just kind of review your knowledge retention of the learning path here. Now, the very key thing here is this is not the exam. This does not count towards your exam. The users don't have to go from 1 to 6 in order. They can go in any order they want. It's all content that is there to be learned and used as you go through. So if we go through to the excuse me, I've just got to get this bar out of the way so I can access the view. So we're going to the teach me element. What we here have is a scroll through learning path that basically gives you information on the subject, which is, as we know, the legal requirements. So there's major employer duties, there's main employer duties all the way through. Did you know? They're carrying out risk assessments information. I'm racing through this obviously because I don't want to bore everybody, but I just want to give you an understanding of what your users will see through the learning of this. It's also interactive. So if we go into one here, we can, what are the steps of hazards when you're performing a risk assessment, and you can click all the way through. So it's very intuitive, it's very easy to navigate, it's very easy to get through. There's little bits of did you know information through it. There's other ones, some of these you can click on and there'll be information on the back. Some of them are just as they are pictures. There's information all the way through, and there's also did you know again when you can select your answers. The one thing I will recommend is underneath a question, there is always a kind of sub question which says either select your answer, or it may say select a number of answers or select 3 answers. So that's something that that you just might want to realize as you go through this. But the rest of it is fairly easy to navigate through. There's lots of information, and we'll go through other sub modules as well to show you the breadth of this. But once you've gone through that, you can then go to a test me element. And the test me element here has 22 questions within here. So you can go through, I won't go through everyone, but basically it's, if I choose that one, and then underneath that there'll be a submit. I got it right. Sorry, that's because I've done this before the previous time. And then we can click through again. I'll just click anyone just to show you submit. Got that wrong, but actually if you click on the show answer, it'll show you the right answer. So again, it's very intuitive and takes you through as you go. If you come all the way to the bottom and perhaps you've got 17 out of 22, but you think actually, no, I want to go back and do this again, you can try again, and it'll throw up a load of different questions in different orders. So you won't get the same exam twice. It won't lead you through the same path. So your mind will have to kind of understand all of the learning that you go through so that you can understand all of the questions that we put. So that's the basic elements of that. If we go to the bottom and we move on, we can then come back to the module itself, and we can choose another submodule to go through here. So if we, for example, click on reporting duties, again with the teach me and test me element of it. So we're going to the teach me. Again, you've got reporting issues, site inductions, situations, things you should know, what you should do. In a situation dealing with incorrect information you be provided, what should you do? Ask for confirmation on points that you feel are unclear or need further explanation. You know, a lot of this is kind of self-explanatory, but it is part of the methodology of obviously working on site within a health and safety environment. Bad behavior on site, there's again questions and answers and learning within that. Construction issues, again questions and answers with that. So again, it's not just a learning path that you're scrolling through and just in your mind ticking through. It is making you interact with it. It is making you learn from it as you go through. And again, once you get to the bottom, you can go to the test me piece. And again, in here, each one's different, but in here there's 10 questions. And again, a 10-minute set time to move from there. So again, moving on, we can then go to another module. So let's pick module 6, for example, which is one of my favorites. Protecting the environment. Protecting the environment is broken down into 3 submodules. So if we look at, for example, nature, very much associated with people going onto brown sites, for example. You know, a lot of your staff will not be going onto just construction sites, but they'll be going onto to brownfield sites as well. So if we have a look at the 10 minutes of Teach Me content in here, we've got things like, you know, shielding protected species, recognizing protected animals. And again, you can click on any of these to understand. Again, with plants, it's actually quite educational. I've learned quite a lot going through this. But again, it's always a reference point that you can go back to. If you're on site and you need to know, you can then come back and access this content and understand what it is you're dealing with at any time. And again, because it's accessible from your mobile phone, that's a nice thing to have. If we go through onto sites, we've, things like this, where we've got floating fish, obviously what to do if you see floating fish, or if you see inadequate protective bunding, etc. So it gives you a visual as well as a descriptive understanding of what you should be doing when you see such things. Again, badgers here, for example, trees, holes, snakes and reptiles. So the breadth of this course and the depth of this course has been put together by professionals, from the CIC Council and from the managing directors and associates of a number of professional businesses that are aligned to the CIC. This content is, more up to date than any other content that we believe is out there, and certainly in the last 14 years, I think this is, since there was a last upgrade of this kind of content. And the ability to put it on e-learning so that it can be learned anywhere at any time through any internet connected device, with the double-edged sword of you being able to actually run your own exams, we think is a win-win all round. One of the great things about this is it puts you back in control of your training rather than having to work to test centres or examinations that may be planned for the future, you can actually put learning into your staff in ways that you can control, and you can allocate your own days and make sure that your people turn up on those days in your offices and do the training as required. So they can get onto to site with the CSCS card. So that's the thinking behind it. We also believe that this course is £39.99. It's a 3-year, worth 3 years before we have to renew it, obviously, at the end of that. You know, £39.99 is everything. That's the 6 hours learning, and it's the exam module at the end, and it's the ability to self-invigilate. If you are from a smaller company or you don't have the ability to do self-invigilated exams, then we will run exams that you will have to travel to. And for example, Liz and I are looking at opening up examinations on the CIC's offices in London, for example, and we've got other opportunities in other parts of the country. But the great thing about this course is that you know, even starting off at fairly small numbers, you know, 5 or 6, if you can run your own exams, you're getting a good return on investment with this. If you then scale up to hundreds and even thousands of employees, if you've got to send each one of those out of the office for half a day to you know, to go and do one of these exams at a test centre, you've also got to buy the content, you've also got to book in and for the exam itself, you know, you're talking about probably £150, £160 per employee to be able to do that. You know, over 1,000 employees, that's an awful lot of money. When we're set at £39.99 and you're in control. So that's kind of the learning path. That's the subjects that we've got. That's the mini modules within each one, and obviously that's the teach me, test me kind of learning path that we've got moving forward. We've got a lot of questions since we've been doing these webinars, and a lot of them have kind of been boiling down to the same thing, which has been the self-invigilation part of it. And the self-invigilation really means this. You guys, if you you know, you've got a couple of people within your organisation or many more, you can appoint an invigilator that basically works as an examiner for an hour on behalf of the CIC and CS, well, certainly on behalf of the CIC and CredX, to be able to get the CSCS card. But she will basically, or he will basically set the room up and have the authority to set the room up in the right way, and they will sign an attest statement. And the statement basically says that I am, with their name, etc., and they will attest that the exam was set up exactly as the CSCS regulations. They will write down the name and the email address of every delegate that takes the exam, and they will attest that that person is who they say they are. Now, under UK employment law, obviously, you guys have got to do a lot of background checking for your employees, etc. anyway, so you can attest that that person is who he says he is. He's turning up for the exam, and that's the guy, and she will sign to that, or he will, the invigilator will sign for that. As we go through the exams, the invigilator will also take a picture of each person, each delegate that took the exam. They will then sign the attestance statement, send me the pictures, or send a CredX the pictures of the people that did the course. We then send that to the CSCS and marry up each one of those with the exam results that are on our LMS, and we've got an API directing to CSCS's platform, so that when you pass this exam, or when the delegate passes the exam, they get onto the CSCS website. There's a drop-down box where there is a number of different solutions to getting the CSCS HSC course. The CITB one is one, we're obviously another. You just check or click on which one you did, in this case the CredX CIC health and safety course. And then that marries up with the information that we've sent them, so that they can then send you the card out. There is obviously a cost with them direct. That's nothing to do with the CredX, but that's the process that we've got in place. So that's really the kind of thinking behind this. We hope that this fixes one problem, which is why we started this course in the first place with the board of the CIC, which is basically they would identified that of the 500,000 odd members of the professional CIC built environment body, there's 235,000 people require a CSCS card to get on site to do their job, even though they're not based full-time on site. But of that 235,000, there was only about 35,000 that actually were health and safety accredited. So there's a 200,000 people gap within that marketplace, and we analysed the reason for that gap, and a lot of it is unfortunately things like, you know, other options aren't fit for purpose. It's too expensive. I'm not sending all my guys out, you know, excuse me. I'm not sending my guys out of the office to do this, and it's far too expensive to get, you know, something that actually we don't get asked for a lot on site anyway. So we want to change that thinking. We want to change that. We want to make sure that everybody that goes on site is covered with health and safety. And we think we've taken away a lot of the excuses maybe for doing this course, and put it back into the ownership of you, the employers, and obviously the employees taking the course in a much easier, cheaper way. You know, it can be accessed from any internet connected device at any time. You can do it in the evenings, you can do it during your lunchtime, you can do it on a train, you can do it on, you know, anywhere that's got internet. So it's a much better way of learning. There are studies that say that delegates that go through e-learning actually have a 65% better retention rate of knowledge, and that is because they are learning at their rate. They're not learning at the rate of the smartest kid in the class. So it's a much better way of getting people the confidence, because they're learning in this way. They're not competing with people in a classroom, for example, to actually get the course content in. When it comes to the exam, what we've noticed actually is we are giving 1 hour for the exam with 45 questions. We have seen people take this exam and pass in 16 minutes with a 96% pass rate. We've seen other people take an hour and get to the last question just in time, with a kind of 60–70% pass rates, failure rate. So it is interesting that we do have a very broad kind of concept of knowledge retention from this course now, and how they are performing within the exams. And the great thing about it is that we've got 600 questions from which the 45 questions are taken per exam. No 45 questions will be the same for every student, so they will all get their exams random. But it means that we can actually change exam questions, add exam questions as we go through, and hopefully you guys as the industry will be able to pick up on this and actually get involved and communicate with us and say, we feel that if you ask this in a different way, or have here's a couple of questions relevant to certain content within this course as such, so we can actually make it more relevant for you and more better, if you like, for everybody to get involved and move forward with. So I hope that's given you a reasonable flavour. I've done kind of 20–25 minutes, which was my intention. I hope I've kept lots of you with us, and there's questions and things coming through. So Liz, over to yourself.
Hi Paul, thanks for that. I think you must have done a good job. So I've only got a couple of questions. The first one, how do I access the Accredix platform? Do I pay online before access is granted?
Yeah, we've got an online shop, and basically the online shop is, you pay, and you obviously pay by credit card or whatever, and move forward. And then obviously we send out an email, we onboard you. We will actually come back to you and ask you for certain information, and the only information we need is the first name and the last name and the date of birth of each delegate, and that's basically all the information that we need from your users. So you can buy it through that, or if you've got a number of people that you want to buy for, and you don't have access to a credit card, or it's an amount above what you can pay through that, then we can invoice, and we can we can basically take your money any way you like, as long as you buy the course.
Excellent, thank you for that. I've also got one question about the exam process. What is the process of the final examination? Is it online, or is physical attendance required? And I know that's something where you've got the answer, so it's something we're also looking at the moment, aren't we, to change?
Yeah, so it's I'll be as honest as I can here. So our dealings with the CSCS, and the CSCS obviously do an enormous job for the UK construction industry, and in various other marketplaces and in various other subjects and everything, there has been problems about fraudulent ways of gaining cards and everything, and the CSCS are very conscious of that. So we kind of went to them and said, look, the people in the professional built environment are professionals. They've gone through education, they've gone through university, they get a lot of e-learning through their learning path to this point anyway. This is not a big step for them to learn off of electronic platforms and e-learning. And it basically boiled down to, they would let us allow you to do that and allow you to run your own examinations in an invigilated form. They won't allow us for individuals at this moment in time to do their own invigilation. So I could, for example, log in from home and do the exam, even though there's 8 other people perhaps online doing that. The CSCS won't let us do that at this moment in time. So the next thing moving forward is we are in conversation with a number of organisations that do an enormous amount of self-invigilated examinations to the higher education authorities and boards, which means that we've kind of got we believe, a bar that we can now present forward to say, look, this is the professional way of training and invigilating courses moving forward. And we believe that would be a great step to really accelerate people coming on board and taking this. I mean, the reason people have to do this basically is because if there is an exam, if there is a problem on site somewhere that involves injury or involves death, the people that this protects ultimately are, the directors and the main execs of the company, and the company itself, reputation, and all that kind of good stuff. Compliance is a very important thing. Now, what COVID did for us actually was put a lot of this and a lot of the emphasis on this onto the internet, Zoom meetings and all and the like, and my ability to present to you guys today. So we believe that moving forward, certainly in the next year, if not 18 months, we believe this will be a singular self-invigilated exam that anybody can access online and take the exam online within invigilated technology embedded in the course, or embedded into mobile cameras on the PC, etc. that way. So at this moment in time, and I'm glad you asked the question, this moment in time, unfortunately, this is the best we can offer are physical attendance of your people into your head offices or your remote. If you've got 3 or 4 offices across the country, you can do an exam in each office. If you've got the ability to do so and the resources to do so. If you don't, then we will be running, as I say, local exams, but that will be on a very much, come see, come so basis, unfortunately, and it will be very much demand led. But moving forward from that, and by the way, we think that's a massive step forward anyway, to be able to do that. But the next step forward will be, the ability to log on in your own office and take an exam in CSCS regulations, but online, with no physical contact or physical need to go to a examination room, if that all makes sense.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for that, Paul. You've obviously been very thorough today and covered everything, because we've got no other questions.